Hey, what's good, everybody? This is Kokugatsu with another video for Zealous of Nerd Entertainment. I do apologize for this video being so very late. Aside from the continual rap beef that wound up happening between Aubrey Graham and with Kendrick, it definitely has got my brain into a ride because I have found myself vibing so much to Euphoria and to Not Like Us over and over again. It's been kind of crazy, and then catching up on a lot of streamers who wound up having good reactions and really diagnosing a lot of those things. And I realized I cannot pass this video up. This is a video for mothers. It is a late video for Mother's Day, where of course I'm going to go over our top 10 videos in top 10 mothers in nerd culture. And I specifically say that because it's going to be kind of a new series where it's not just going to be talking about anime, especially considering the fact in our nerdy news segment, we go more than just anime. We talk about movies, we talk about books, scientifics, all those different things. So I want to be able to make sure we can showcase that we can branch out even further than just anime and manga. We can go into further beyond. But for this one, still sticking with our main roots, we are going to still have our top 10 mothers in anime and in video games. Now, this is a very interesting list, and I could not pass this up because, as I said before, I was definitely running through my brain with also Meet the Grams and, really listening to that, good Lord. But understanding that moment of Dear Sandra, understanding what it means as far as being a mother and what it means as far as being a motherly figure. Mothers are all around us, and I could not miss this opportunity to say that we love and appreciate you. Aside from the fact of bringing life into this world, you're caring for that life and still nurture into it. Mothers have a huge impact when it comes down for all of us, and I want to get a chance to talk about that. So with this, I want to make sure I got a chance to pull references for all mothers, whether birth mother, as well as also stepmothers, as well, even adoptive mothers. I wanted to make sure we had a chance to talk about every single one of you because all of you are important. And of course, a big shout out. As many of you who have been following my videos know that I did just recently have a new baby as well. So aside from technical issues, some videos kind of have been a little late, and I do apologize for that, but I am trying to get things back up to speed. But I also want to give a big shout out to Callie Kaiju, who of course who recently still gave birth to twins, and she is still enjoying her time with her children as well. And then we would love to have her back on soon so we can go ahead and get further on to nerdy therapy. So without further ado, again, we're going to go through our top 10 mothers in nerd culture, specifically right now with anime and video games. So starting off, we hit anime first, and I'll go back and forth between anime and video games to keep things up. First one I want to highlight is going to be Hana from the movie Wolf Children. If you've never seen the anime Wolf Children, it is a very, very amazing anime. In short terms, it's literally about a woman falls in love with a guy who's pretty much a werewolf, and they wind up giving birth to children. As he's out, an accident happens and he dies, and he's not able to return. So she is having to raise her two kids as they're werewolves, literally trying to teach them the human ways, but also understanding the fact that they are technically they're still wild animals as well too. They have both. These kids are able to switch back and forth between being a wolf and being a human depending on their emotions, and also understanding that with her two kids having two different personalities, where one grows up and actually says that they want to take in more into their human side, whereas the other wants to embrace more of his wolf side and go back into nature. And so she's a wonderful, supportive mother. I absolutely cannot pass her up as being my number one pick for an anime mother, of showing the fact that no matter what changes your children may go through, every child inherits stuff from both of their parents, and being able to handle both of those things while still showing love and support, it makes such a wonderful thing. So Hannah, thank you so much for being a really great representation of mothers in anime. Moving on to video games, I want to also talk about Jun Kazama from Tekken. Now this is a very interesting one because for many people who don't really play Tekken don't really know, but Tekken is well known for being a fighting game, and we have some of our main characters, Heihachi, who wound up marrying a demon and wound up giving birth to a demon human bloodline, where we had Kazuya and of course Jin. But Kazuya wound up falling in love with Jun Kazama. Jun wound up still bringing out the human side in Kazuya, considering the fact of all the horrible stuff that he went through with his dad, and pretty much embracing his demon side. She still embraced that human side of him and was able to bring that out, and still be able to also to raise Gene in order to understand his human side as well. Unfortunately, due to her untimely death, as we finally get an opportunity of seeing in the Netflix series Tekken Bloodlines, we understand that she still did everything she could in order to raise her son, protect him, and show him how to not, of course, only defend himself, but also still understand that he is not a monster. He does not have to be just because his dad chose that with the unfortunate situations that he wound up dealing with. This is one of those cases of a single mother, because in this case that, she had a child, but the father left to do his own thing, and it was better that he was not there, because every time that Jin and Kazuya meet, they're having a fight to the death, because Kazuya feels that he needs to kill his son in order to become more of a full-fledged demon, which, yeah. So that honesty thing is the fact that June is still being that mother, protecting her son and doing everything she can as a single mother, raising him, understanding that he also has his own anger bouts and his own anger moments because of the fact that he is part demon. So it's understanding those things into that, but still in helping him overcome that, still understanding that he can take his moments to calm down, still embrace himself. And of course, Jin does wind up becoming hero later on into the story. Hopping back over into anime, I want to go ahead and talk about Your Forger from Spy Cross Family. And this one, of course, we're going to go ahead and highlight our stepmoms who wind up hopping into when a mother is not able to be there. As we understand, Anya is an orphan, so even though the dad is also not her biological dad, Yor has the belief and understanding that he actually is her biological father, but in the end she still steps up to being a wonderful mother, especially considering the fact of her job being an assassin. So it's understanding the fact that she was able to step up and still show that she can be a supportive mother, doing everything that she can and trying to support Anya in all of her endeavors. Also run into those things of well, how am I supposed to discipline, considering the fact that I'm not her biological mother? I don't want to replace her mom, but how am I also going to embrace being that stepmom that still shows love, support, and care, still being able to, really help with the maturity aspect of growing up and understanding that there are consequences to actions. So she struggles so much into that, but it's a really awesome character development as we see throughout the first and second season that we have so far of the anime, and even further on into the manga, getting a chance to see how she truly steps up as an awesome stepmom. Moving back over into the video games, we're going into Sonya Blade from Mortal Kombat. I'm going to primarily highlight Mortal Kombat X and Mortal Kombat 11, of course, being the points where Sonya is a mother. So we wound up getting a big jump into the timeline for Mortal Kombat 9 with the reboot timeline, where Sonya winds up having a child with Johnny Cage, which is very interesting in itself. But Cassie Cage, we get a chance to see her, play as her, and understand how things went, where we wound up having a mother who's a military mom. And this is a big shout out for all you military moms out there, and love and support, because it is difficult being military. When you go into the military, for those of you who don't know, you tend to have to sign a waiver, and understanding the fact that you can die in the line of duty, and you have to sign all of your rights over of your children to someone just in case that does happen. And so it's one of those cases where it becomes a big struggle. A lot of these moms are always on duty, are always having to leave, and the kids take it hard and rough. And that was no shy thing that happened to Cassie. But Sonya still kept pushing and persevering, and showing she did this for the love of her family. Regardless of the fact that things did not go the way she wanted to, the marriage didn't go well and it wound up falling out, she still loved her daughter. And we wound up getting a chance to see that further in Mortal Kombat 11, where she finally gets a chance to rekindle things further with Cassie, unfortunately only just before her untimely death. So still one of those things highlighting all you military moms who you have to choose that line of duty in order to serve and protect our country. Thank you so much for that. But also understanding the sacrifices it makes to the family and to your children. They still love you. It is a pretty hard thing, and we still thank you so much for that. moving back into anime, we're going to go ahead and jump into Dragon Ball with Chi-Chi. I picked Chi-Chi because the options best were going to be Chi-Chi, Bulma, and Android 18. Now, Android 18, we don't get to see her as a mother like that. We know she loves her daughter and is going to do whatever for her, but we don't really get a chance to see that. We don't get that build up and that highlight. For Bulma, pretty much about the same. The most that we've gotten a chance to see of Bulma as a mother was when we got to Future Trunks' story, where pretty much everyone died and Trunks had to be the hero. And even then, we still don't get a chance to see as much. With Chi-Chi, we got the chance to see from the beginning of Dragon Ball Z all the way up to the current timeline of Dragon Ball Super right now as Chi-Chi as a mother to Gohan and to Goten. So she pretty much obviously took the pick onto this one. This is a very big one in the fact of having a husband that's always gone, occasionally pops back in, but still doing what you can. Chi-Chi wound up becoming very overprotective of Gohan. It did develop him a certain way that most people don't really care for a shonen anime. But at the same time, you cannot deny the love that she has for her son. You cannot deny the common sense that she has, where she's like, I'm not telling you to put my son out in danger. Don't be doing this, but, you know, it's a shonen anime. Gohan's going to have to do what he's got to do. But Chi-Chi did everything that she could. She came from a rich family. She had tons of money, pretty much used all of that money for her family to make sure that everything was taken care of. The Ox King was powerful and rich beyond belief. You don't really get a chance to see that so much. She tends to farm, tends to land. She's constantly cooking, cleaning, doing everything. Stuff that you would see is like, okay, a normal housewife, but no, so much more than that. Getting a chance to understand her studies and understand that Gohan was top of his class, like excelled extremely. And keep in mind, he was homeschooled all the way until the Buu Saga. So everything that Gohan learned from those books, he learned from his mom. Big thing on that one. You can't sleep on that. Chi-Chi, you're a fantastic mom. And I'm sorry you don't get a chance to get as much highlight, so I want to make sure we can highlight you here. Now, moving back over into video games, we're going to go ahead and jump into the God of War franchise, specifically starting with the 2018 Freya. Now, we talked about Chi-Chi sometimes being overprotective. Freya in the God of War series, it can be big overprotective. We're not going into mythology. Y'all know that I'm a fantasy club president. I have tons of information on Freya, but I'm not going to go into that. Right now, we're going to specifically talk about just the video game with the God of War franchise. The reason I say that is because understanding how Freya is in this universe, Freya winds up giving birth to Baldur. She loves him so much she becomes scared and afraid of the fact that he's going to die, and understands that his death is supposed to entice Ragnarok to happen, which is the destruction of all of Norse mythology. So in order to prevent this happening, she goes and gets a blessing from every living thing in existence, and even non-living, like rocks and stuff like that, saying that you will not kill my son, therefore making Baldur immortal. Unfortunately, it was only one thing she was not able to get a blessing from, and that was mistletoe. As a response, she had all mistletoe burned and destroyed until, some people managed to find and hide some, but that's for the game. But also, it winds up becoming a big thing as well. Baldur gets heavily affected by that. Being not just immortal, he feels absolutely nothing. Aside from just not killing him, they can't hurt him. So he literally can't feel anything. It wound up having a really bad negative effect. It's one of those things of like, still want to highlight her as the fact that she's a mother who very much wanted to protect her child and did everything that she could. And she did understand that there was a problem that came into that. She did try multiple times to try to talk with Baldur, to try to get an understanding and hope that he would understand why she did what she did. It didn't go out the best way, but in the end, she still did everything she could to protect their child. And let's be honest, as a parent myself, I can't really look down on that. I would do the same if I could. If I could make sure that my kids would never be killed by something, yeah, I would definitely do that. Just being honest there. That's from a dad's perspective, so that's a video for another time. Now, moving on back into anime, going to our next mother, we're going to go with Nana Shimura, who is the 7th one for all. Make sure I get that right. I do like My Hero Academia. I'm sorry, I just had that mix up. I told you, my brain's been off a little bit. But So Nana is also one of those ones that did everything she could. And even though she's not a military, she is a superhero. And unfortunately, just like what wound up happening with Sonya, it led to her constantly being further away. Now, granted, I don't want to spoil the comic books, the mangas for all you guys who haven't seen it, because the My Hero Academia newest season is just getting ready to drop and releasing all those new episodes so we can finally catch up. But the manga, I don't want to spoil it, but just understand, unfortunately, her being gone for so long did wind up causing a lot of issues. But in the end, she still did what she could as love for her kid. And regardless of anything, even after her death, years later, her spirit still lives on and does everything she can for her child and her grandchild. And that's a really big thing. So for that, I have to give big shout highlights. Moving back over into video games, we're going to go with Rosalina from the Super Mario franchise, the Super Mario Galaxy, and further on. Rosalina is an awesome mom. Is a very interesting mom, considering the fact that she is the mother of the stars. But there's one thing I specifically want to highlight, in the fact that every Nintendo game has a dark story that they don't always highlight about, but it's something that's important, and that's understanding the fact that she lives forever. And she has seen all of her children grow, die, and be reborn in a continual cycle. She's seen all these stars grow up, explode, and die, then reborn into new personalities, and still loves them every single time, remembering their past lives, but not letting their past lives influence their current lives because their personalities are a little different than they were before. So it's one thing to understand as far as about reincarnation, but imagine that moment of seeing your children die, being reincarnated, and you know that that's your new child, but they have a different personality, and you're having to treat them as new while still retaining those memories of as they were as old. So it's a very big thing into that, because it's one of those ones that's like, dang, you know, Rosalina, I can't imagine that. Like, my children dying is a hard enough thing, but understanding that they're reborn and having to retake care of them as a whole new person while still remembering who they were, it's tough. It's tough. So with that, Rosalina, fantastic mom. Definitely. Going back into anime for our last anime entry, we're going to go ahead and talk about Trisha Elric from the Full Metal Alchemist franchise. Now, I know. Look, everyone knows Trisha was a fantastic mother. She had a good relationship. Everything was good all the way up until the dad, he's like, I made a mistake. I gotta leave. I have to go try to fix this. She still wound up raising those two boys, Edward and Alphonse. She did the best she could all the way up until her untimely demise. When you understand everything that she did, it makes sense why it is that they really wanted to bring her back. It's not really much more to say into that. We don't get a chance to see too much, but understanding with the story of Edward and Alphonse, like the Elric brothers, like whole story and how much they love and keep talking about her, it's very clear she was a fantastic mother. It goes without question. And the last entry on this list is going to be from Undertale with Toriel. Toriel is going to be one of those mothers that we will highlight in the fact that, for me, I would personally say it's like a godmom. They're not blood related to you. They didn't get married into your family, but because they know who you are, they adopt you as a child of their own and still love you. And that is Toriel in the video games. There's not really many other mothers like that, to be honest with you. I personally have a wonderful godmom and a wonderful grand godmom as well that I still talk to every now and again. And it's one of those blessings that a lot of people don't have, and I'm so happy to have that. And the fact is, like, you're from a whole different family. There's really no relation. You don't have to be in my life, but you choose to be. You choose to get that guidance. You choose to get that wisdom. Toriel does that for every child that winds up falling into Undertale. That winds up falling into the underground. She winds up helping them, guide them, to help them make their way through. She's there for them, depending on whatever playstyle you choose, whether you choose the pacifist or even the genocidal one. And if you wind up going that route, Toriel will say, unfortunately, as much as I have love for you, I'm going to have to put you down. And it's a crazy thing in understanding that she's like, I'm gonna have to do this, but I do this out of love, because I'm not only taking you as one of my children, but everyone here is like my children as well too, and I love and care for all of them. I'm gonna do what I have to do to make sure that everyone is protected. Those hard decisions is a big thing, but still wanted to really highlight again that point of no really relation. You've fallen into this world, you have no idea where you're at or what's going on, but this person shows up and helps try to guide you the best way possible while still doing nothing but showing love, care, and affection towards you. A complete stranger that can still be a wonderful mother. And I think that's a great way to end off on this top 10 list. Now, I have to be realistic. There are some moms who are not the best. And the two worst moms, I can find one for video games, thank God, but in anime, we're going to talk about Rogia Kuryuin from Kill la Kill and Medusa from Soul Eater. Both of these moms experimented on their children. The children was born only for experimentation, and fortunately there are some times where children are born only to try to keep a family intact, and that's not always the case. That doesn't work. If you are one of those children who wind up being suffering into those cases, there's still someone out there like Toriel out there who will still love and care for you. And here at The Zone, we are a big family. Regardless of anything, we love and care for you as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Mother's Day to all of you. It is very well belated. I apologize for those technical issues, but until next time, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. All right, bye now.